Welcome back to the Muse Unveiled. Today we're going to talk about
Giovanna Tofana, the inventor of Acqua Tofana, the 16th century cure for divorce.
Where before divorce there was Acqua Tofana. Meet Giovanna Tofana. She's a mysterious figure shrouded in myth, with a few confirmed details about her origins. Now, she was a real person, just that there are so many stories about her that she has fallen into legend. She was born around 1620, possibly in Palermo or Naples, but other records hint that she might have been active in Rome and Naples. Now, what I think is happening here is that I think that she brought her product to Rome and Naples, but she does sound like a southern girl, seeing the temperament, of course. She is believed to be a professional poisoner and apothecary, skilled in mixing herbs, potions, and deadly brews. Now, some may say that she was a woman driven by desperation and necessity, a midwife or a healer who began crafting poisons as a grim form of justice for women trapped in unbearable marriages. Others simply considered her a witch. Now, the magistracy would say about her that she was a criminal. They portray her as ruthless, profiting from misery. But people that tell her story just say good things, saying that she helped them. What is clear, though, is that her name became synonymous with one of the most notorious poisons ever known, Acqua Tofana. The poison Acqua Tofana was reputably a colorless, tasteless, odorless liquid, making it an ideal and undetectable poison. Believed to be a mixture primarily of arsenic, lead, and possibly belladonna, but there could have been other deadly plants. And its slow-acting nature meant victims would endure prolonged illness, often mimicking natural diseases. The legend says Acqua Tofana was sold in small glass vials labeled with a blue liquid or called Manna di San Nicola, which is translated in Manna of St. Nicholas. Now, this is when they gave it a seemingly holy and medical aura, calling it that way. And it was passed secretly from women to women, often disguised as a cosmetic or beauty product. But to understand why it was so popular, you have to also understand the social context. In 17th century Italy, women had little legal resources for divorce or separation. Basically none. And if you go in southern Italy, it's still like that today. People are ostracized and demonized if you are divorced. And it's very, very odd that once you are divorced, you ever get married again. It's just like frowned upon. In fact, the Catholic Church strictly forbids divorce. So many women were locked into these marriages with violent or neglectful husbands with no way out. They didn't have money. Their family wouldn't approve. They found no support. It was a horrible situation. If you were in an abusive relationship, that's the way it was until the end. So the reality is that this Acqua Tofana that Giovanna created because of her situation of domestic abuse became a shadowy answer to desperate problems. Basically, before there was divorce, there was Acqua Tofana. And you can see it in TV shows like Reign, where the Medici queen, what was she skillful at? Poison. Basically, in the 15th and 16th century, poison became the dark escape route for women seeking freedom or revenge. It was a secret weapon in a world where speaking out could mean ruin or death. But here's the kicker. Once it became a public thing and there were a lot of people arrested, according to trial records and rumors, Giovanna Tofana wasn't working alone. She allegedly operated an underground network of poisoners. Just imagine this flying squad of women that would reach out to those in need. So she sold a lot of Acqua Tofana to other women. Or in some cases, they would administer it on the behalf of the person that requested it, under the shadowy thing of, under the cover of it being a medicine. So once a network was created, they allegedly serviced many women in Rome and Naples. So I'm visualizing them just taking off on this trip and servicing all of the people. And then how things got around back then? Mouth to mouth. This poison was believed to have killed dozens, if not hundreds, mostly men, usually husbands who were very abusive, indifferent, but also inconvenient. The idea was that the poison could be administered slowly over time, allowing for plausible deniability. Symptoms mimicked natural illnesses like stomach aches, fevers, and other illnesses. The legend states that in 1659, the authorities finally caught up with Giovanna Tofana and her daughter, while the legend says that her daughter Giuseppina, also known as Giuseppa, continued her work. After the suspicious death of a nobleman's wife's husband, investigations led to the discovery of the poison. Believe it or not, it was more common than you think, and whoever was in law enforcement, the first thing that they thought when something happened, who poisoned them? Giovanna Tofana was arrested and put on trial, but not before she underwent torture and interrogation. And this supposedly is when she confessed to manufacturing and distributing Acqua Tofana. But as I've said many times in this period, the torture method didn't get you the truth. People under torture would just say whatever they needed to say to make you stop. Bottom line, Giovanna was sentenced to death. Now here's the thing. Some say that it was by hanging, others say that it was by burning at the stake. And afterwards, her network was dismantled. Now, seeing that poison and potions were seen as witchcraft, I would probably assume that she was burned at the stake. Now, is this a myth or is this reality? The story is a real one, but the thing is this, we don't know how much of this is true. Historical records are fragmentary at best, but historians do believe that Acqua Tofana was a real poison that caused multiple deaths. And here's the thing. The scale may have been exaggerated by authorities or sensationalized over time. But if these women were taking trips to Rome and Naples, and there was a network, I think that housewife to housewife, the Acqua Tofana was getting around. Another curious thing is that a lot of scholars believe that Giovanna Tofana was actually Giovanna Mangiardi, a woman connected to the original poisoner, Tofania d'Adamo. That's funny. That sounds like D'Adamio, which is one of my family last names, who was executed in Palermo in 1633 for similar crimes. The name Tofana could have been taken to suggest lineage or a continuation of this deadly trade. So officially, the formula does not exist. I believe it to be truer to say no verified formula exists today, because in Italy, the legend clearly states that there was arsenic, lead, and other things like that. And of course, belladonna. But of course, based on the symptoms that these people had, they were trying to add other ingredients to it. The Acqua Tofana story became a powerful cultural metaphor. Poison as the forbidden tool of powerless women in a male-dominated society. In fact, if you notice, I believe it was last year when the Democrats lost the election, there were a lot of women that were like using the code word Acqua Tofana. You know what I mean? And I'm here like, yeah, B, I know what it means. Literally, I know the story. Acqua Tofana inspired plays and novels, and even later on, films. The phrase, before there was divorce, there was poison, captures the tragic irony. When legal freedom was denied, women turned to deadly secret alternatives. We weren't going to take it. So Acqua Tofana then became a symbol of rebellion, survival, and desperation. Giovanna Tofana represents the shadowy underworld of the 17th century Italy, where women trapped in rigid social rules sought lethal means to escape their bondage. Acqua Tofana was a deadly solution, a slow, silent killer that haunted the era and echoed a brutal truth. When love or law offered no escape, poison was the only liberation. Hope you liked this video and subscribe and come back for more.